Professor. Hi everyone, my name's Geoff Watson. Is there an echo?
Yeah.
Just 1 second. I think if you just take it off mute and I'll just talk through your...
Yep, sure.
Yep.
I am not muted, so...
Okay.
I think you're right now.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. Yeah, so my name's Geoff Watson. I'm the General Manager of Asset Planning and Delivery at Water New South Wales. And I have Hetal Parmar next to me, who's the Manager of Operational Asset Planning. So thanks for having us. We're going to give you an overview of a little bit about Water New South Wales and our operating landscape. I'm going to hand over to Hetal to take you through our dam safety management system, some of the dam safety risk approaches that we take, and also our risk management framework and application. Before we start, I was just sitting here listening to Manoj talk, and it was quite fascinating to hear about the Indian landscape. 6,281 large dams. Hetal and I were our minds boggle sitting here listening to that. 143 dams under construction. Again, that's another amazing number from our perspective. The numbers here are orders of magnitude lower. And then finally, 9 dams being greater than 300 years old. So look at very different operating context here in Australia. Much smaller number of dams, much younger dams. So I think there'll be quite a few differences, and some of those numbers might explain why. Next slide. Okay, so Water New South Wales. A little bit about Water New South Wales. We're a state-owned corporation. We act as a corporation. Our shareholders are state government ministers. We're a bulk water utility. We supply water to regional towns, to irrigators. Our largest customer is Sydney Water, providing water to the Greater Sydney catchment, and we also provide bulk water supply to local water utilities. We have a large footprint. We cover 2/3 of the state of New South Wales, and we operate under an operating licence which is regulated by the Independent Pricing and Regulatory Tribunal. So they regulate what we can charge our customers for that bulk water supply service and for all our services, actually. And they also impose operating licence conditions on us that we have to abide by. So here's the comparison numbers that we have at Water New South Wales. We have 21 declared dams, large dams in the Greater Sydney portfolio. We have 20 dams in our rural, outside of Sydney, essentially, portfolio. And on top of that, we have about 300 other weirs and water conveyancing structures. The asset base value is estimated at $25 billion. The largest asset class is dams, followed by canals and pipelines. This is our business plan on a page at Water New South Wales, our strategy. We have a very simple purpose, and that is to water delivered when and where it matters. Nice and simple. Our vision is to support the resilience of New South Wales communities through our leadership in delivering water services for generations to come. We have a very significant impact on the livability of our regional communities, in particular in our cities, and we want to have a lasting positive impact on that. On the right is our strategic priorities. There's 5 strategic priorities, and that reflects what is important to our stakeholders, communities and customers. and it drives everything that we do. So when we identify the priority improvement actions, we align them with those 5 strategic priorities, and that includes the way that we manage our assets, including dams. Yeah, I'll hand over to Hetal.
Thanks, Geoff, and good morning, everyone, and pleasure to be here. So as Geoff has mentioned, we have got a large footprint in New South Wales. So that's from the Indian perspective. I think if you look at the areas of operation that we have, it is equivalent the size of the states of Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Gujarat combined. So that's just gives you a bit of indication about the areas of operation. The dam that you can see it on the screen right now is the Water Dam. So that is one of our dams located in the Greater Sydney region, and it is our tallest dams within the concrete gravity dam, tallest concrete gravity dams within our portfolio. This dam supplies about 80% of the water used for the drinking water purposes by 6 million people in Greater Sydney area. The dam was constructed in 1960s, and the storage capacity is about 2,000 GL. So that is from the comparison point of view, it is about the 1.5 times the storage capacity of the Krishna Sagar Dam. The next dams is one of our largest from the storage capacity point of view, and that is a Hume Dam. It is located at the border of the New South Wales and the state of Victoria. The dam consists of 29 spillway gates. We'll see if I can use the pointer. Sorry. The dam consists of 29 spillway gates, and then we have got a series of embankments. So the total length of the embankment is about 2 kilometers. The dam was constructed in 1936. I think the construction started in about 1915, completed in 1936. And I think when the dam was completed, it was the largest dam in the Southern Hemisphere, and it was one of the largest dams in the world. The storage capacity of this dam is about 3,000 GL. So again, in comparison to the Indian context, it is about the same size as the Koyna Dam in Maharashtra. And it's about 1/3 of the size from the storage capacity point of view of the Sardar Sarovar that is in Gujarat. The catchment area is about 15,000 square kilometer. And this dam supplies water across the 3 different states for the irrigation purpose, environmental, town water, domestic, as well as it has got the small hydroelectric capacity. So it's nothing compared to India. We got 60 megawatt system at the dam. And the third dam that we have is our tallest embankment dam, and that is 113 meters high. The dam was constructed in the 1970s. And the storage capacity point of view, it is about the same size as the Krishna Sagar Dam with 1,300 GL storage capacity. So these are a bit of spread of our declared dams portfolio. So as you can just see it on the bar chart here, we have got pretty much each type of the dam. But our largest number of dams are the zoned earth-filled dams, and that is followed by the concrete gravity. So I think that just make up bulk of the concrete and the zoned dams. We have got about 7 arch dams. That includes the double curvature dam as well, that we have it in the portfolio. From the significance of the dam point of view, as you can just see it up on the screen, that there are about 70 to 80% of our dams pose an extreme to high consequence category. So I think that is mainly to our downstream community, as well as the economic and the environmental damages that would if our dam fails. So I think it is a small portfolio, but from the consequences point of view, it's quite high consequences associated with our dams. Just touching on a bit of our operating landscape. So in New South Wales, we have a regulator, and that is the Dam Safety New South Wales. We used to operate under the Dam Safety Act 1978, and the Then we have in 2015 got the new Dam Safety Act got introduced, and that was followed by the Dam Safety Regulation in 2019. And we've been given 2 years to transition from the old regulation or the old act to the new regulation. And we are operating under the new regulation since November 2021. What you can see it on the top corner there, it was the societal risk or the risk management framework that was adopted by the previous dam safety regulator. And then we have now moved to the new societal risk framework. I think the previous societal risk plot that we have, it is quite comparable to the Indian context, because there is still a standard base box sitting in the Indian regulation. From the compliance point of view, so as I think Geoff briefly touched on this, that we are operated under the operating license. So we have got 3 dimensions that we'll have to manage when making sure that we are providing the prudent services to our customers and community. So on the one hand, we have got the dam safety regulation that is mainly focused on the public safety and the life safety risk, and that represents pretty much our community. On the other dimensions, we have got the I part who governs our price, how much price that we can charge it to our customers for the water that we supply to them. So there is always a conflict between the what sort of investment that we can make and how much the customers are willing to pay for that. And on the other hand, under the operating license requirements, we have got the requirements to make sure that we take a prudent asset management approach that is ISO 55000 certified. So there is always, the 3 different dimensions where we have to balance the risk in ensuring that we are providing the right services to our customers and community in managing those dam safety risk. So what I'm just showing you here is more of our overall dam safety philosophy. So what you can see it in this yellow box is that Dam Safety Act, and then the green box is a dam safety regulation. So these are the minimum requirements that we have to abide by just to make sure that we satisfy our regulatory obligations. Above and beyond our statutory requirements, we have got the N code and the I code, that is our recognized best practice industry guidelines. So similar to N code, I believe there is in code in India, and then in code is part of the I code forum as well. So there's a very similar best practice approach that you might have it in India as well. And then above all, there is a common law. So as a reasonable person, have you undertaken all the activities that you could take to ensure the safety of the downstream communities in the event of the dam fail? So I think we still have to making the Ds, and we still have to consider the common law aspect as well. From the dam safety objectives point of view, we have got quite a simple objectives. And the first one is it's all about complying with the legal requirements and making sure that our compliance requirements are met. The second one is all about protecting the Water NSW from charges of negligence. So I think that's where some of the common law considerations come into play. The third one is more around provide the asset stewardship to Water NSW dams asset. So that is closely aligned with our operating license requirements and the overall asset management framework that we have it in Water NSW. And the fourth one is more about protecting the public from the potential dam failures. So that's again the downstream communities, as well as the impact that it could have on the general Australian GDPs. I'll just move quickly into a dam safety management system. So to ensure that we manage our dam safety program effectively and efficiently, we have developed our dam safety management system, and the dam safety management system provides us with a systematic approach in managing the dam safety risk. And that includes what is the organizational structures that we need to have, what are the clarity on the roles and responsibility, who's accountable for what activities, what are the codes, what are the practice, what are the policies, what standards that we need to abide by. So our dam safety management system sits under the work health and safety as well as the asset management policy. From the hierarchy point of view, then we have got the asset management system. Our asset management system is ISO 55000 certified. And under that, we have a dam safety management system. And under that, we have got underpinning instruction procedures and how to guide information. So overall, under the dam safety management system, we have got 12 processes to undertake all the dam safety related activities. We have got 4 different frameworks. So 2 of the frameworks are more around the risk management. Another framework that we have is about technical competency around the dam safety. And the 4th one is more about the supporting our emergency management plan or the emergency action plan in terms of setting how to set the white, amber, and the red alerts that goes into our DSCPs. So this is providing a very broad overview of our program activities. So as I mentioned, we undertake our dam safety as a risk-based approach. And when we look at the risk continuum, it starts with identifying the risk. So the activities that we normally undertake as a part of identifying a risk is about our surveillance program. So that's the routine surveillance program that happens at a site level as per the frequency that is defined by the NCOLD, more of a annual and the 5-yearly inspection program that is also in line with the size and the complexity of the dam based on the consequence category. Also, as a part of this surveillance program, we have got a very robust data management tool and system, and that is automated system that informs us on the alarming capabilities as well in case of any anomalies that we find into our day-to-day, the key dam performance parameters. There's a special inspection. So I think after any major flood events, after any major seismic event, there's quite a big focus on undertaking any special inspections, and that special inspection can be also support any abnormalities that's found on the site as well. And I think another key component of dam surveillance or the identifying and monitoring the risk are the emergency planning and the emergency preparedness. So we work closely with our state emergency agencies in terms of the implementing those emergency plans and developing those emergency plans, as well as the operation and maintenance manuals that we need to have it for all our dams. Whereas on the right-hand side, what you can see, it's all about the evaluating the risk. So once we identify the risk, we'll go through more of a risk evaluation. And that's where I think we undertake all our risk assessment in line with the various, the state-based regulatory requirements as well as the NCOL best practice requirements. We have developed quite a number of the bespoke frameworks to help us assess our risk assessment and manage our risk at the portfolio level. And there's quite a robust plan then that we have it in terms of how to implement or develop those corrective actions that are coming out from the risk assessment that we undertake. So there's a long-term dam investment planning that goes into as a part of our overall risk management continuum. And then we work closely with our planning function, the project delivery function, to make sure that the options that we are developing are implemented effectively. I think just to assess the effectiveness of our dam safety management system, we always look for an opportunity to improve and have a continuous improvement mindset. And just to ensure that our program is effective, we have undertaken a more of a benchmarking using the CAT maturity matrix. So the CAT maturity matrix assess the health of the program based on the 12 parameters that's been defined by the framework. And we've been compared against the 13 dam owners across the globe. So it's a comparable size dam owners in Australia, New Zealand, North America, Canada, and USA. And based on those evaluation, what you can see here is that there are quite a number of areas where we have found that we are quite strong in the areas of the dam safety issues and risk management, dam surveillance, when it comes to the audits and reviews, as well as more on the information management and the governance of our program elements. There are a number of elements I think that we have identified where we were still performing better than the other dam owners, but I think it's from the maturity point of view, I think where we wanted to get to in terms of managing our program. I think we have just implemented some of the actions plans to improve on some of those elements. And I think one of those elements was the emergency preparedness and the response. So I think over the last couple of years, we have made some significant improvement in enhancing our capabilities in the emergency management space. The second one was the public safety and the security. So I think this is slightly different to the managing the downstream life safety risk. I think this is more about managing the site securities and the recreational facilities that we have it at the dam, and the access that we normally provided to the public on our sites as well. So how to manage the safety of the public when they are visiting our dam sites. So I think this is a excellent piece of work. I think that just provided us the really good benchmark against the various dam owners, and that really helped us on the areas that we needed to focus on and improve on to make sure that we always looking at the improvement mindset. The another key element of our DSMS is our approach to the governance. So in dam safety, I think the governance is one of the key aspects. So we have got a couple of different ways we manage the governance. I think the figure that you can see it on the left-hand side, so that's our governance approach in managing the dam safety at a program level. So we have got quite a number of the independent dam industry experts who forms part of our governance panel, advising us on the how we managing our dam safety program, and that provide assurance to our management team, senior management team, as well as the board of directors. So there is an annual reporting that happens to the board of directors in terms of the overall health of our dam safety program. The flow chart that you see it on the right hand side, I think it's just providing a typical example of the governance arrangement that we have it at the project level. So this is a typical arrangement for when we undertake our risk assessment at a portfolio level. We have a project steering committee, but I think along with the project steering committee, we have a dam expert review panel. And often the dam expert review panel are the industry expert that's from Australia or from overseas based on the capability that we are seeking in. And then often those expert panels is supported by the independent advisors as well in the specific areas of discipline. Our approach to the dam safety risk management. So we have a pretty standard risk management approach, and our risk management approach is pretty much aligned with some of the practices in North America. It's been defined by the FERC, and it's been used by the US Army Corps and some of the other dam owners in North America. So in assessing our risk approach, I think it's all about, what is the level of the risk assessment that we want to have it. And the first step in the risk assessment is identifying the dam safety risk. So that's all about the failure mode assessment, and then analyzing those dam safety risks through the event risk and the probability distribution Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. And how we are just, analyzes our risk from the event and the probability distribution point of view, and then we evaluate those risks. And those evaluated risks are then plotted against the safety threshold that is based on the on the societal risk plot that I have shown you earlier. And based on the risk plotting position of the dam, we'll apply the risk treatment. I think those risk treatment been informed by the so far as reasonably assessment that we undertake on a dam level, but I think that's been largely applied to the portfolio level as well. And that then enables us to develop our risk management plan, so the investment strategy that is focused at a dam level, but more broadly, I think at the portfolio level, how we want to manage the risk at a portfolio level, providing us the best bang of bucks there. The another aspect I think that's we are currently focusing on is around the operational risk assessment. So when we do our dam safety risk assessment, our focus is largely on the life safety risk. We are not often considering what are the business risks that are posed by the dam assets. So as a part of the operational risk, we look at quite a number of different elements, including the human aspect, cyber security risk, the site security, the overall asset management, the overall asset performance in there, just to enable us to look at the dam safety risk, operational risk together to develop a more of a facility level risk management plan, just to provide that holistic risk management approach for a dam. So in terms of the methodology and the guidance that we use it in assessing our risk, it's pretty much called best practice guidelines that we have available on the risk assessment. The consequence assessment guidelines, that's again the called best practice. And then we have a specific guidance that is available from our state regulator. And I think what you can see it on the right-hand side is the level of risk assessment that you can perform on a dams based on the maturity of the system that we have it as a dam owner. So most of our risk assessment that we perform, it's at a detailed to very detailed level. So that will enable us to inform those risk assessment from the investment decision-making point of view. This is a quick snapshot of all the dams that we have performed risk assessment on, and largely all our dams except 2 sits below the safety threshold that's been mandated by the regulator. So from the Indian context, I think you probably consider the dams that are sits above the safety threshold as a more of an intolerable dam, and the dam that sits below, there's a bit of diminishing justification to implement any risk controls. But I think from the Australian context, I think, and particularly in New South Wales, even though the dam risk plots below the dam safety threshold, we still have the obligation to reduce the risk to so far as reasonably practicable. Quite a lot of other jurisdictions, I think, use the ALARP as quite a common term. And usually the ALARP and the end called ALARP and the so far, I think it's quite similar from our context. So I'll just briefly touch on the risk management framework and the application of those risk assessment with you. So just to manage the dam safety risk, we have developed a risk management framework for all of our life safety risk. So once we assess the risk of our dams, we apply the so far assessment methodology. So that's a bespoke methodology that we have developed. And those methodologies been applied to all of our 41 declared dams that we have. The second foundational element of the risk management framework is the risk reduction action prioritizing. So when we applied the SOFARP assessment, will provide us with the what are the your state of, based on the state of knowledge. SOFARP assessment will enable us to identify what are the gaps that we have it in our studies and investigations program. What are the gaps that we have it in our administrative control? What are the gaps that we have it in our physical control that we need to implement to achieve those SOFAR poison? So I think with the 41 declared dams that we have applied this framework, we have came up with about 250 odds various risk control measures that we need to implement. And that ranges all the way from the confirmatory studies to the admin control to the having the improved emergency action plans to the physical control that we need to have it on our dam sites. So once we have got the appreciation of all the controls that are required, we then put it through the risk reduction prioritization methodology that we have developed in-house. And that will enable us to come up with the prioritized list of the actions that we need to implement, and that we broadly look at the portfolio level. And once we have got the appreciation of our portfolio prioritizing, that will then go into development of our capital investment planning process. And that planning process looks at the investment requirements all the way from the short-term requirements, which is the next 5 years, to the long-term requirements of the next 25 years. What is the investment that is required? And this assessment also helps us to provide the confidence to our management as well, in terms of the how we are overall managing the risk at the portfolio level. So there is a regular reporting that happens to our board, and there's a regular annual report that we submitted to the dam safety regulator in New South Wales. So I think this is a means of just demonstrating that we are acting as a reasonable and responsible dam owner, and we are systematically and proactively addressing the risks that we have to manage our compliance obligations. Just I'll quickly run you through the SOFARP assessment process that we have. And it's a very systematic process, and we'll undertake this assessment step by step. And I think it all starts with what is the state of knowledge that we have. And that state of knowledge is informed by the risk assessment that we perform. That also takes into account what is the level of detail that we have used for those risk assessment. What are the engineering inputs that we have? Was that risk assessment based on the quite a comprehensive, say, stability engineering analysis, say, for example, stability analysis, or based on the quite a robust geotechnical model that informs the foundational parameters for the dam? Do we have a really good construction record and the good construction practices that was implemented when the dam was constructed? What are the engineering assessment being performed? And based on the long history of the monitoring and the performance that we have it for our dam, that is also informing our state of knowledge gaps. Then the similar consideration goes for the consequences input. Have we considered all the dam break scenarios as a part of undertaking our risk assessment? Do we have a robust appreciation of the downstream inundation? What are the life safety consequences for each of our dam? And what are the financial consequences or the economic consequences that would be if the dam fails? And then we also look at what are the risk controls that we currently have. Have we currently identified all the controls that we have it in place? Are those controls practicable for the failure modes that we are looking at? So I think that's all goes in our assessment of what is our state of knowledge. And then we look at what are the critical hazards. Do we have a good understanding of all our failure modes that are associated with the dam? When was the last safety review that was undertaken? When was the last risk assessment that was undertaken? And that informs in terms of what else can be done. So in terms of what else can be done, we look at what are the existing controls that we have it in place. When we have the existing controls, are those existing controls effective? And are those controls considered as a good practice? And then if not, then what are the additional controls that we need to have it to ensure that we reduce the risk to as far as reasonably practicable? And then we'll then go into the more of what is reasonably, what is a reasonable assessment. And as part of that reasonable assessment, we look at the likelihood, what are the harm of this, if this dam fails, what are the costs associated with implementing those control measures that been considering? Is the cost is disproportionate to the benefit that we're going to achieve it? We also consider what is the confidence level that we have it in our risk assessment, and that is all about the uncertainty associated with that risk assessment that we had it in particular failure modes. So I think there is quite a robust expert elicitation process that we go through in assessing our SOFAR assessment. And once we assess, our SOFAR, we'll just go through the prioritize and framework. And the prioritize and framework is pretty much founded based on the principle of the equity and the efficiency. So there's always balance that we need to find it in terms of the, having a focus on the controls that addresses the high risk will have to be prioritized. And the controls that are providing the lower risk benefit, I think will, have a lower priority. And same with the efficiency, that the control that is more cost effective will ensure that those will be prioritized over the less cost effective controls. I think what you can see it on the right is prioritize and matrix, or the TS system that we use. So any dams that posing the imminent threat of failure will give them the first priority in terms of implementing those controls. The dams that have the either societal risk or the individual risk sitting above the safety threshold, that's the next in line. And then the dams that are sitting below the safety threshold line. And even in terms of the prioritize and criteria, we look at the different controls, in which order we would like to implement those controls. So, whether those controls been identified as a short-term risk control or the interim risk control, are the risk control considered as a de minimis, that the cost of the implementing those controls is so less that regardless of the benefit, you still implement it. And then we'll focus on more about our long-term risk controls. And I think our long-term risk controls are the ones that are more of a structural solution that we'll have to consider for our dams. So I think that's the hierarchy that we normally adopt. And the equity and the efficiency aspect, then we have mapped that against the requirements of the dam safety regulation as well here in New South Wales. This is a very busy flow chart, but I think what I'm just trying to show you here is that the approach that we have it in linking all of our SOFAR elements. So I think this is the SOFAR framework that we applied. Based on that assessment, we'll come up with what is the actions that we require or the controls that are required. So if it's only investigations, we'll just get on do those investigations. If any of the controls been identified as a tentative or the definitive controls, then we'll just put it through our prioritize and process. And based on those prioritize and process, then we'll come up with the program of works. And then that program of works then being prioritized and form a part of our investment strategy. And once we implement those controls, we'll go back to the same loop, update our risk assessment based on the studies and investigations completed, based on the structural solutions being implemented. And then it will just update our risk assessment, go back to the SOFAR cycle, and then I think the whole cycle starts again. Last 2 slides. So I think I'll be just finishing up shortly. So one of the benefit, I think, in terms of the approach that we have adopted, so the FN chart that you see on the right hand side, so one of our dams where we have, based on the very preliminary risk assessment back about a decade back, we have implemented the structural solution to bring the risk position below where it was to about a couple of orders magnitude. And for us to bring the risk position below, it costed us about $50 or $60 million. Whereas I think we have just shifted our focus in terms of the understanding and improving our state of knowledge before we jump into a structural solution. And these are the couple of examples where we have undertaken the preliminary risk assessment. Based on those preliminary risk assessment, we have identified a number of areas of uncertainties that went into that risk assessment. And we went and undertook more of a sophisticated engineering analysis, undertake the geotech investigations before ensuring that there is a need for the structural upgrade. But in those two instances, after we undertake those confirmatory studies and investigations, we did got a really positive outcome. And just by spending a couple of $1 million in the investigations and the studies, we were able to lower the risk below the safety threshold. So I think from here on, we are just looking at over the long term, managing the risk to the so far as reasonably practicable. And just the final slide, just some of the key takeaways I think that I want you to just walk away with is that at Water New South Wales, we have got quite a mature dam safety program. And we have got quite a robust risk-informed decision-making approach. And when you consider those, the risk-informed decision-making approach, there are two key elements of that. I think decision-making approach is the risk communication and the governance arrangement. Another aspect is the effectiveness of our program. I think it's always beneficial to look at how the program that you have effective. And one of the ways to do that is the benchmark against the comparable size dam owner and assess the effectiveness of the program and making sure that through those sort of assessment, then you identify the areas of improvement that you can undertake on to further improve the health of the program. Over the last couple of years, since the introduction of the new dam safety regulation here, we went and developed a number of bespoke frameworks. And those bespoke frameworks are more around the risk management and the SOFAR assessment. And those frameworks then enable us to develop our short-term and long-term dam safety investment strategy. And I think that is really important to provide the visibility to your customers as well, that what sort of investment that you are looking at in the dam safety space in terms of the prudently managing those asset class. There's quite a number of the innovative approaches that we are currently embedding in our approach. And that is, even the moving away from the end-cold routine surveillance to a more of a risk-based surveillance based on the failure mode assessment that we have undertaken, and how we can just drive the efficiency and optimize our routine surveillance program based on the information that we have. Another couple of initiatives that we are currently driving are more around the automated survey, monitoring of our dams, undertaking more of a drone-based monitoring of our dams, and jumping into more of a predictive analysis of how the dams are behaving. So that will again provide a lot of efficiency and the optimization of our resources. And I think the last one, just to finish it off, is that at Water New South Wales, I think it's all about continuous learning and knowledge sharing. And I think probably this forum is one of the such forum, I think, where with the global partners like you, we can share and exchange the knowledge, both from the Indian perspective as well as from the Water New South Wales perspective, and make sure that knowledge help us make our dam more resilient globally. So I might just finish off here, Basant, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Hetal, and thank you, Geoff. really excellent presentation and quite detailed in terms of what you do, how you do, and why you do. So that has been really very interesting and helpful. And I think there is a lot of learning and experience sharing that can happen between India and Australia, and Water New South Wales can play an important role here. And there's a lot of scope for collaboration. We almost finished the time we allocated, but we are happy to have, if everyone agrees, we're happy to have another 5 to 10 minutes question answer. I think it's important that we have up to 160 people here, and there might be some questions. So please be concise. Either you can put your question in the chat box or switch on your microphone and video and just say the question and who you are directing to. So we have the Indian colleagues and the Australian colleagues. So please now open for discussion. And already there are some questions there. So maybe can I request Judy to, if Geoff hasn't answered some of the questions, maybe we can say there and some answers can begin. So we can unshare the screen, Hetal, and
I'm just
also
trying to
the,
figure out how to unshare my screen.
okay, maybe Judy can do from her end.
Thanks, if you could do that.
Actually,
Okay,